Hello, lovely human. My name is Linz, and I will be your guide tonight. Welcome back to the village of flow, calm, still. Tonight we are leaving the last warm lights of the village behind us and following the lantern path down towards the lake. Somewhere along the shoreline, Rowan is already walking there now. If you enjoy our time together and would like to spend more time in the village, you can find the links and information in the show description. But none of that matters now, because this time, now, is your time. As always, there's no pressure to fall asleep. Deep rest might be exactly what your body needs tonight. My voice may drift in and out of your awareness, and that's okay. There's nothing to keep up with here, nowhere to get to, nothing for you to do. Before we join Rowan, let's get comfortable. If you've not done so already, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let yourself rest. Allow yourself to settle a little more comfortably where you are. Give yourself permission to ease out any tension, maybe with a stretch, a gentle squeeze and release of the muscles, a shift into a different position, letting the body find its way into a place that feels right for now. Bring your awareness to the very top of your head. Imagine a soft, warm light resting there, slowly moving down, uncurling the forehead, softening the space between the brows. Let the tiny muscles around the eyes relax. Let the jaw go heavy. Notice the weight of your tongue. And notice the space behind your ears. Letting that area soften and widen. Feeling the surface beneath you. Let your body sink down into that surface. You don't need to hold yourself anymore. Imagine the surface beneath you is made of something infinitely patient, rising up to meet you, taking the burden of your weight, so you can feel held and safe. As you breathe Imagine the breath landing lower in the body, down past the chest, into the belly. See if you can feel the breath moving into the sides of the ribs. And even into the small of the back. Begin to breathe in for the count of 3. And out for the count of 4. Stay with that gentle rise and fall for a few moments. The body breathing itself. The surface beneath you, holding you steady. Let go of everything. We'll begin our story. By the time Rowan reached the lantern path, the village had almost entirely folded itself into evening. Curtains had been drawn across windows, heavy linens, soft velvets, and thick cottons shutting out the world. The bakery chalkboard had been brought in for the night, its dusty chalk remnants of the day's bread now just a fading memory. Somewhere behind her, a door closed softly, followed by the faint rhythmic click of somebody washing the last few cups before bed. The path ahead glowed gently beneath the trees. Lantern after lantern after lantern. Small pools of amber light scattered across the dark, damp soil. Rowan stepped beneath the first oak branches and felt the air change at once. It felt thicker here, warmer, quieter. She stopped for a moment just to listen to the silence. The woods beside the lake always seemed to hold on to the evening differently from the rest of the village, as though night arrived here slowly, on purpose, trickling through the leaves like honey. Her boots pressed softly against the path, a muffled grounding sound. The path feels steady, solid. It smells of oak trees and the sweet dusty scent of the day's end. A clean, quiet air that feels like a long, slow exhale. Somewhere deeper in the trees, an owl called once, a low, hollow sound that seemed to vibrate in the cool air before settling again into a deeper, more profound silence. Rowan pulled her coat a little closer, feeling the familiar, slightly rough texture of the wool against her chin. The lantern path curved gently along the riverbank. Rowan was glad there was only one direction to follow, no crossroads to navigate, no signs to read, no decisions waiting halfway, just the slow, winding trail beside the water. The river moved quietly in the dark, slipping around the stones with the softest hush. Every now and then the lantern light caught the surface, just enough to turn parts of it silver, like a slow moving ribbon of mercury or liquid silk. She stopped at a small wooden bridge and watched a single leaf drift onto the water. It didn't hurry. It spun slowly in a circle before continuing its journey downstream. She watched it until it vanished into the shadows. The water never seemed to hurry here. Even when it was moving quickly, it somehow still looked calm. It knew exactly where it was going. Ahead, the trees began thinning. Dark water stretched out before her. A line of reeds moved gently near the shoreline, brushing against each other with a dry, papery sound, like a quiet secret being shared between friends. The lakeside cabin sat further along the bank, just beyond a wooden jetty that reached into the water like a pointing finger. From here, Rowan could see the faint gold glow of its window. It was a soft, flickering glow. She always liked that about the cabin. Nothing there ever tried too hard. It was a place of enough. The path dipped slightly downhill, becoming softer and springier beneath her boots. Fallen leaves had gathered along the edges where the lantern light didn't quite reach. As she walked, the woods grew still enough that she could hear the gentle, repetitive knock of something wooden moving against the jetty ahead. Knock, pause, knock. One of the rowing boats shifting against its rope. Rowan smiled to herself. The lake was full of tiny nighttime sounds that only appeared once everything else had gone quiet. Water against the wood, reeds brushing together, the soft silver tick of cooling lantern glass. These were the sounds the daytime was too loud to notice. When she finally reached the shoreline, The lantern behind her reflected faintly across the surface, stretching long and gold across the dark water whenever the lake moved. The lakeside cabin waited, small, still. Its old stone chimney breathed the faintest ribbon of smoke into the night sky, a grey thread in the indigo. Rowan crossed the jetty slowly, one hand trailing lightly along the cool, rough rope rail. The wood beneath her boots gave the occasional quiet creak, a friendly welcoming sound, like the house was acknowledging her arrival. Halfway across, she stopped. The village was hidden now. From here the world would feel smaller, more contained, just like the lake, the lanterns, the cabin, the sound of water shifting lazily beneath the dock. Nothing else needed attention. No other world existing but this one. She reaches the door and lets herself inside. Warmth met her first, a soft, dry heat that seemed to settle on her skin like a blanket. Not too hot, just the gentle warmth of a room that had been lived in kindly for a long time. The cabin smelled of cedarwood, old books, and the faint sweet scent of honey and beeswax. Everything was exactly where it always was. A copper kettle on the stove, 2 ceramic mugs drying upside down beside the sink. Rowan slipped off her coat and hung it on the familiar brass peg. She crossed the room, her woolen socks silent on the floorboards, and placed one hand briefly against the kettle. Still warm. She liked the feeling that the cabin quietly continued on, even when empty, always ready, and never surprised. She took a match from a small tin on the mantel. She struck it and watched the tiny blue flame bloom into orange. She lit a single candle on the table, watching the wick catch and the wax begin to soften. Outside, the rowing boat knocked again. Knock. Pause. Knock. The sound seemed slower inside. Rowan lowered herself onto the chair beside the stove. It was a wide chair, deep and patient, with arms that seemed to curve inwards. She unfolded the blanket across her lap. Heavy indigo wool, soft with age and many washings. She leaned back. The chair settled beneath her with a low, long wicker sigh. Outside the window, mist drifted across the lake, softening the water until it looked like a dream of a lake. Rowan watched the stove. A tiny slither of orange light flickered behind the iron door. She watched it dance, up and down. A tiny private fire. She noticed the way the light played on the spines of the books on the shelf. Faded golds, deep greens, and weathered reds. Her breathing had grown quieter now too. Lower, slower. The kind of breathing that happens when the body finally understands there's nowhere left to get to tonight. The journey is over. She watched the lake through the old, uneven glass. The window blurred the world, lantern light bending softly through the tiny imperfections in the pane. She liked that nothing looked perfectly sharp. The night seemed kinder, more forgiving that way. The cabin creaked once in the cooling night air, a settling of stone and timber. The lantern flame moved softly behind its glass. The stove ticked. But here nothing was asking to be figured out. Nothing was asking to be answered. No problems to solve. No lists to check. Only the moving water. Only the warmth of the stove. Only the chair holding her weight without questions. Rowan rested her head back against the cushions and listened once more to the slow, familiar rhythm besides the dock. Knock. Pause. Knock. And little by little, like the mist settling itself across the surface of the lake, her thoughts began to dissolve into stillness. The cabin had grown quieter, the kind of quiet that arrives very late at night, when even the walls seem to settle into themselves. Outside, the lake moved slowly against the shore. A hush of water, then stillness again. The lantern beside the window glowed low and amber, its lights breathing gently across the old wood beams overhead. Shadows drifted lazily along the ceiling, slow enough now that they barely seemed to move at all. Knock. Pause. Knock. The rowing boat shifted softly beside the dock, patient, unhurried, certain in its rhythm. Rowan listened for a while without really meaning to. The sound no longer felt separate from the water or the mist or the warmth of the blanket gathered across her lap. Everything had begun to blend together now. The chair beneath her, the low glow of the stove, the faint cedar scent in the timber, the quiet lake breathing beyond the glass. Even her thoughts seemed softer now, further away somehow, like little boats disappearing gently into the fog. Knock, pause, knock. The candle flame bent slightly as the cabin settled around her. A tiny flicker, then stillness again. After a while, or perhaps quite a long while, even time itself seemed to loosen around the edges. The edges of the room are blurring into the amber glow. Rowan reaches for the table side lamp. With a small, quiet click, the light fades into a warm, low glow, and she drifts into a deep sense of rest. I'm going to drift away now. You can rest here, lovely human, for as long as you need. The village is quiet. The lake is still. And if sleep comes now, that's all right. Rest well.